Hey everyone, Keough here with my third day of the second week of the Smolov base cycle. You're going to see me do 350 pounds for 7 sets for 5 repetitions apiece. So 350 pounds, 5 rep sets, 7 sets in total. I'm going to again be doing these without knee wraps as I have done my entire base cycle, and in addition to that I'm going to be doing these without the belt because I want to continue to allow my ribs a chance to heal. So did these all beltless, did these all without knee wraps, and felt pretty good doing them. The weight feels considerably easier than weight of a similar intensity range felt last week. 365 really just destroyed me last week. I wasn't able to stay tight at all. I was really struggling with it. But today 350 felt pretty good. I felt pretty strong with it. Towards the end of my sets, I started really to break down with my technique, but that was almost intentional on my part. I was just trying to gain enough leverage so that I could get through the sets quickly. I feel good right now. I've acclimated really well to the program, and I really like squatting 4 times a week. I've really enjoyed this transition in my training. The only problem is that I've got a groin strain or something that is nagging me, and that was nagging me today, and I am choosing to train through it rather than shut my squat down and try to let it heal. I'm treating it pretty aggressively outside of training, but I am going to train through it, and the reason for that is because, number one, it doesn't really bother me during my sets. Once I re-rack the weight, I'm walking like an old man for a few minutes just because it's really flared up on me, but during my reps, I don't really feel it, and it doesn't really cause a compromise in technique. So I'm sort of gambling that it's going to be okay here, and I'm continuing to train through it. I have 5 more sessions on Smolov Jr. before I'm done with this, or Smolov for squat rather, before I'm done with this base cycle, and I'd really like to get through all of those. I might not max test. What I might do is I might just take a full week off for a deload, and then come back and rerun the base cycle and test after that base cycle, that second cycle. But that would only be because I really need to give my abductor a chance to heal. So I'm taking a pretty moderate, I guess, risk with it right now by choosing to train through it. But ultimately, I found something that I really like and I really believe in my training, and I want to follow through on it. And I want to see what comes out of it. I basically attained, if you know anything about my training history, I basically attained a 510-pound wrapped squat, weighing about 155 pounds, and I squatted 501 pounds in competition at 148. I did that in late October of last year. I basically attained those sorts of numbers by squatting heavy back squats once per week over a span of several years, and doing, for the most part, only 3 work sets per week. And of those 3 work sets, I do 1 AMRAP with an RPE 10, so I do as many reps as possible, and I leave no reps in the tank. I try to get as many as possible, and but the 2 work sets before that would be almost like preparation for that AMRAP. So the RPEs wouldn't necessarily be high. It'd be like an RPE 7 and an RPE 8, 8.5 before I finally did that AMRAP set. So I attained a 501-pound wrap squat at 148, back squatting once per week. So I'm really invested in finding out what's going to happen when I take the wraps off, squat 4 times per week, run this base cycle a few times, and just try high-frequency training for 6 months to a year. I'm really interested in finding out what will come of that. I think that one of several things could happen. I think it could make no negligible difference, and my squat basically stands pat, and I would be very surprised if that were the case. I think I could end up physically wearing down from the high-frequency training, and I think you'd be right to point to my groin as an early sign of that, but I really don't think that's going to be the case. or I think you see me fix my weakness out of the hole and really just develop into a much stronger squatter. And that's what I hope is going to happen. You know, I hope that changing the frequency, changing the total volume per week squatting, doing a lot more back squatting is going to just get me better at the movement. I have good leverages for back squatting. I know I have a very gimmicky back squat. I know I barely make depth. I know I squat with my heels 4 inches apart, and conventional wisdom says that that's not supposed to be effective. But I feel like I have a squat here that I can go pretty far with. I think it's just a matter of realizing that at this point I need to address my weaknesses in my strength curve, which occur coming out of the hole, and I need to add frequency and volume to my squat, because I really think that's what's going to drive my numbers up. I can handle the frequency, I can handle the volume, I've handled the base cycle just fine. I know I have this abductor thing going on, but I don't think that's evidence that I can't handle high frequency training. I think it's just been bad luck on my part. I really think that this is going to be the answer for me. You know, I think in order for me to squat the sort of rep numbers that I want, I'm gonna need to be able to squat close to 500 without knee wraps, and I certainly can't do that right now. I'm not close to doing that. 350 is not a 5-rep max for me without knee wraps and without a belt, but it's certainly not the easiest set in the world. You know, I am struggling a little bit, at least, out of the hole. So it's certainly going to take me a while to reach that sort of a level, but that's where I need to go if I want to hit the sort of rep numbers that I want, which would be doing a 570-pound rep deadlift, rep squat rather. Rep deadlift, that makes no sense. Here you're seeing me do some deadlifts. I did some speed pulls after my heavy squats. I figured, you know, my abductors, or whatever it is already flared up, so I might as well pull for speed. I'm using these without band tension, and that's sort of by design. I decided I would just take the accommodating resistance out of it, try to maintain a feel for pulling off the floor without any sort of accommodating resistance, because I am doing deadlift variations for my deadlifts every week, and that was my goal. Just doing these just to get a lot of reps in. I did 8 sets of 2. These are all 290 pounds. Just trying to pull them as fast as possible. They went pretty well. They didn't feel super fast, but my deadlift for my heavy pulls the last couple weeks has been fantastic. So I'm really not worried about that. I'm just going to keep up with the speed work. I know people say you can't deadlift while on Smolov. I let people make their own rules, and I make mine, and I choose to deadlift. Keep checking in. I will have more videos for you soon.